Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be working with some beautiful flowers, most of which came out of the cut flower garden and a couple from the flower beds. Look at this lineup. Oh, now I'm going to run through the variety names here in a second, but the one thing that all of these have in common, the one trait, is that they all dry beautifully. They will maintain their shape, most of their color, so the project that we do today will look like this, hopefully. For a long time. Just so vibrant and gorgeous. You know, Erin, the kids and I just got back from our first family vacation. We went with my parents to the Oregon coast and it was so nice. We were just there for a couple of days. It was over Labor Day weekend, but it was enough to, I just felt so relaxed and rejuvenated and so excited to get back in the garden once we got home and kind of start in on some fall projects. Now I'm not quite in like the pumpkin level of fall projects. I love seeing it though. Like if you're there, it's fun to see it and I love the feel that brings. But there's so much abundance still coming out of the garden, so many vegetables to harvest, so many flowers still looking beautiful that I feel like putting together some like late summer, early fall sort of floral things that's kind of where I'm at. So today we're going to be using some of those flowers to put together a wreath for our back kitchen door. I have a 16-inch wreath form here, just a wire wreath form, and then this is 24 gauge floral wire. So that's all we need other than our clippers and the flowers. We've put together lots of wreaths for you in the past, but basically you just make little bundles of flowers and lash them to the wreath form, and we'll show you that process here in just a second. But let me run through the varieties before we get into the actual project. We have a nice weeping willow. I parked it underneath the willow tree because it was the only shady spot at the moment when I came over here. First off, we've got smoke bush. This is from Winecraft Black. This just adds a super beautiful kind of purpley red color, but also that gorgeous texture, that fluffy texture. We've got Back in Black sedum. Now this one is kind of in bud and just starting to open bloom stage right there. This one will brown just a little bit more as it dries, but not much. It's such a dark color that you don't even really notice that. We've got straw flowers, which these will maintain the brightest color of all. Hear this? They're like already dry on the plant. And they will just look like this until the end. Hey, Russell. Hey, bud. We've got several colors of status right here, which I love to have, especially in wreath situations because they're a lot bulkier. You know, you can get just one or two branches and it'll add a tremendous amount of bulk to it. So we've got some, this is called Forever Silver, and then we've got an apricot, a purple, and a yellow right here. We've got chocolate flower. These will turn a little bit more golden color. The chocolate flower bloom is actually yellow and the petals hold on right here and they come out from the center. This is the thing that backs the petals. So once those yellow petals dry up and fall off, you're left with this gorgeous little green accent. It looks like a flower in and of itself, and I love that. Down here we've got a couple varieties of gomphrena. This is the orange, and then we've got white. And these also will dry beautifully with the nice color. We've got the Sunball Cresspedia. These are such a funny looking flower, also called the drumstick flower, but these maintain color really nicely. We've got Echinacea here, which I'm going to be tearing the petals off of. I mostly got blooms that were kind of aged, like they kind of look like this a little bit. So they were on their way out anyway. But these will have the beautiful orange seed heads right here. I love that. We've got Sweet Romance Lavender. Can't leave lavender out of a wreath like this. Sunday Wine Red Celosia, which these have nice kind of stiffer blooms right here. Now a lot of these, to condition or prep them, you could cut them, put them in just a little bit of water, let them drink up the water a little bit, and then slowly start to dry out. That's probably the safest way. But the one benefit of cutting and doing your craft right away, especially if it's a wreath, is that you still have flexibility in the branches. You're not dealing with dry branches, which are just so much harder to manipulate and get them shaped the way you want. So in this case, since I'm not really conditioning my blooms, I might deal with a little bit of drooping. Maybe on the celosia. I'm guessing that's pretty much the only one I'm thinking might do that. But we'll see. Most of the time we have pretty good luck with it. We've got the Limon Talinum. These are so cool. Look at these branches right here. Started these from seed. Didn't have the best of luck getting them started. Like less than half of them came up, but they are so robust in the flower garden. And they produce these stems that have these little itty bitty balls on the end. And they have that nice red color. We've got another celosia called Crystal Beauty. This one will hold a little bit better than this one. Like if this one wants to droop, you'll be able to tell on the ends, but they've been cut for a couple hours sitting back here in the back of the gator, and it's not hot, but it's not cool either. So this one, just because of the rigidity of the, is that a word? Rigidity, the toughness of the bloom structure, they will maintain a little bit easier. We've got Quickfire Fab hydrangeas, which one way you can do this. Now I think that these are far enough along in their bloom stage that they will maintain and they will not wilt. But if you pick hydrangeas too early when the petals haven't kind of stiffened up, you'll kind of know they get a little bit thicker feeling, a little bit more leathery, and they start to turn color. A lot of times after you pick them at that stage, they'll maintain. But most of the time what you want to do is cut your hydrangeas, put them in just a little itty bitty bit of water in the bottom of a vase, let them soak it up, and then they'll dry really nicely in a vase. And you can do that at pretty much any stage of their bloom. So if you want to dry them when they're a little bit more white earlier on in the season, that's the way I would do it. This is another way you can do it, which I have done several times in the past. You can use these little water picks. Right here, you cut the stem, put it down in the water pick, they'll soak up the water. You can easily hide this in a bundle, so you're actually watering your hydrangeas inside the wreath. So I think I'll probably do that just to be safe. Then we've got Autumn Joy Sedum right here. Again, will turn a little bit darker in color, but adds a nice bulk. And then we've got the Steel Blue Eryngium, which, oh my goodness, the pollinators. This is probably a favorite of the pollinators out in the garden. Russell. But it's got the beautiful blue. So we just have an array of colors. This is just going to be a really fun wreath. What are you doing there with your paw? What are you doing? Hey. So I'm going to back this gator up to my table over here and just get started. We'll do the first couple of bundles a little bit slower, and then we'll probably speed the process up. But I'm excited to see how this comes out. I feel like it's been a while since, I mean, I did the wheat wreath, but that's uniform. That's really easy. This one will be a little bit more, I'm hoping, fluffy and a little bit more wild and colorful in the end. Oh my gosh, you guys, the wreath turned out so pretty. I love it. Of all the dried wreaths or dried flower wreaths I've ever made, I think this one might be my favorite. My mom and I did status wreaths. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, like it was 100% status, and they were colorful and bright, but I love having the variation. I hung the wreath up in the studio just to make sure that there were no holes that I needed to fix before I took it up to the house, but I wanted to show you what kind of mess I'm left with after I do a project like this. So you can see the table up there in the gator that actually belongs out in the flower shed. And we've got a few stems that I'll probably go through this pile. These were ones that I just didn't use. You can see some cresspedia in there, a few lavender. Not that many though. And then this is what is left on the ground. Not too bad. I usually just cut the ends or remove leaves and just put everything right on the ground. It makes the process a lot faster, and cleanup's usually not too bad. Now let's go take a look at the wreath. And here it is. Isn't that beautiful? It's so colorful. I've got it hanging here if I step back off of one of our workbench tabletops, just because it makes it easy to see if there are any holes or gaps that I need to fix. Oh, I love all of the difference in texture and color. I was gonna try to do this a little bit more restrained in the color department. I'm glad I didn't though, because it made it look so fun. And it's such a good representation of what's going on out in the garden. Just that bountiful harvest and it looks so late summer, so appropriate for the time right now. I love it. There's the echinacea, and those are just all throughout. Kind of tried to work those into where we had it somewhat even. And then all of the hydrangeas, they're all in those water picks. There's only 5 stems. But let me tell you, having these sedum and the celosia, they kind of have a similar shape, kind of that weighty circle. Having those to work in throughout made it really nice because it's very cohesive, even though there's so much going on. There's a cohesion to it as well. A lot of the eryngium, I popped that in a lot of different locations because it can kind of come out from the bulk of the wreath and add a little bit of movement. And then the talinum and the smoke bush, that added fluff, which I love. Okay, so now we need to go hang it on the kitchen door. It might end up on our front door, I'm not sure. They both are glass backed, which makes it a little bit hard to see, not in real life, but in camera, it makes it a little bit hard, but let's go see what it looks like. Oh, that looks pretty. I like it. See what I mean though about the reflective glass? It makes the detail a little bit harder to see. But oh, that's perfect. And here it is on our front porch, which I think I'm gonna leave it up here. I love how it looks with the wood around it. It is much brighter up here too because this is the south side of our house. And we've just got some simple planters. These are lemon cypress that we've had in here since spring. Easy care because we don't have drip running up to these. So I might pop a few pansies in there once we start doing our fall planters, but I think that looks really pretty. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I really just wanted to show you some of the things that you can use as dried, elements in an arrangement like this. And I noticed, like, even when I'm making arrangements throughout the summertime and I'm, tucking in some of these things, the hydrangea, the eryngium, the straw flowers, when I tuck those into my regular arrangements, all the other flowers start to, look pretty crummy. But all of the ones that I used in this wreath, they just stand proud and look so great. So I thought, I should really get out there, especially when colors are at their peak and the shape of some of these are at their peak, and make some arrangements. Like there's one spot in my bedroom that I love to have an arrangement, but we're not gonna have fresh flowers throughout the wintertime. So what if I made one out of a lot of these types of flowers so that it can just maintain and we can enjoy it through the wintertime and not worry about swapping it out because we just can't get as good of flowers from the grocery store. And some of these, like the straw flowers, they change shape as they grow or as they mature. So I love it when they're in this shape right here, but they get older and then they start to look like this, which does add a lot of visual interest, but I tend to like them a little bit more when they're closed. And then like this one, you can see here, the petals even start to downturn. So it's something you want to consider. All of these will age on the plant. So the eryngium will be less blue and turn more brown. So you want to get after picking that when it's at peak. Same with the statice and the straw flowers, the gomphrena, lavender. I mean, you know how it goes. They start to lose color. So if you get after it and pick these things when they're at peak color, then they will maintain more of that color in your arrangement. And I think maybe I already mentioned, but all of these were started from seed except for the sedum, the hydrangeas, and the smoke bush. Everything else in this arrangement we started from seed, either direct seeding or starting them in trays this spring. And that's going to be it for today's project. I hope that it was fun to watch this come together. I know it wasn't a step-by-step tutorial necessarily. Maybe we can find one of our wreath tutorials from before and link it down below. Same concept applies to this. It's just so fun to see what kind of things we can pick from our garden right now and put together something like this. It's so satisfying. That's one of the reasons why I grow all this stuff. And I'm hoping that maybe you saw 1 or 2 varieties in here that you are interested in growing. It's just so fun to have the different variety, and I tried really hard when I was planning out what to grow out in the cut flower garden to make sure to have some of these things that we can utilize in this way, not just all dahlias and zinnias and things that don't dry like this. It's fun to have some variety. And you guys, there are so many other things in this too. I mean, you could use corn, like the tassels of your corn. You could use grass seed heads. You can use all kinds of different things, and it's just going outside and looking at your plants a little bit differently and seeing what things have already gone to seed, and do those seed heads look pretty? You can pop them into something like this. I mean, you could even work some really kind of twisty looking beautiful branches that have really nice color into an arrangement like this. You can really take it a lot of different directions. So anyway, that's it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one.